I think we need to address the public comments here, and obviously I don't think it's just unknown to anyone in the room that the complaint that's sitting with the state right now is the complaint that my wife and I filed that is currently sitting with the state superintendent. And I give my wife a ton of credit for doing that because she put in a huge amount of work on that. And I think we really need to pause here before we approve this the first time, if you give me a little latitude here, right? So we are like, our current policies are out of compliance with our obligation under Wisconsin state statutes that require our district to make the balanced collections of books possible. And one of the speakers, Becky, said the full wording, but we're not in compliance here. And we have updated our policy 871 numerous times. We did in 2023 to change who could challenge. We then changed 361 to include book looks, which is now defunct, so that was a giant waste of time. And so we've changed these policies over and over and over, and even after the book Love Makes a Family was removed, the policy then was attempted to be changed again. 361 was to add alignment with the district's human growth and development curriculum to the supplemental materials section. So we've changed 871 4 times in the last 5 years, and 872 has been changed 3 times in the last 5 years. And you have a Title 8 complaint, and I believe also a Title 9 complaint with the state, all around this book and the actions this board took and the policies that were set. So needless to say, I think a lot of mistakes and questionable actions were taken purely from a policy. I don't want to make this into a political theology type of debate here, right? But there's been a lot of changes to these policies. We chose, and it was stated in the policy committee meeting that, and I understand we're not talking about the administrative guidelines tonight, but we're approving policies that basically say we're just following the administrative guidelines. In the policy committee, it was stated that our intention is to just carry forward what we have. Now, let's think about this. There are essentially 3 things that can be challenged, right? We have, tonight we're going to approve 9130, 9130.01, and 9130.02. So, I don't understand how it can make sense that for any general staff or program or operations complaints, it's 9130 and it's Neola. Okay, great. And the process for challenging it is in the policy. Okay, that seems to make sense to me. I agree with Neola with what they do there. And then we get to our Menominee Falls specific 9130.01, challenges to classroom instructional materials. And that has its own procedure, our current procedure there, and that's going to be in an administrative guideline, right? So now we have one in the policy, one in the administrative guideline, 2 different ways to do it. Then we also have 9130.02, which is yet another way to challenge something different, library materials. Now we have 3 different policies to challenge something. One is outlines in a policy, 2 of them outline an administrative guideline. I think that's confusing and overly complex. And then when we come to what does the board do, right? What do we do in these complaints, right? So that is also different across all 3. There's no alignment. So 9130, the Neola policy, I really like that one. It says it allows the board, so a majority of us, as it should be per our own policies, right? We always say that none of us have any power. It's a majority, right? So we have the final say, and we can let a committee do it, or we can take it to the board. That seems pretty straightforward. Our policy then, 871, says that a minority of the school board people, so the 3 people on the curriculum committee, get the final say, and the full board never gets to vote. I think that violates the other policy we're going to approve tonight, Neola 143, says that an act of the board requires a majority, but our own policy says that those 3, the minority of the board, to make a decision for the entire board, and their decision is final and not appealable. So we're contradicting ourselves there. 872, which will be the AG to 9130.02, calls for a secret email vote to the board president. That is in violation of Wisconsin open meetings laws. We're setting ourselves up for failure. So we have an opportunity here, right? Neola can be our get out of jail free card. We can go and take Neola's policies and we can get to an aligned policy that streamlines. We don't need 3 different ways to challenge something across policies and administrative guidelines and secret email votes, or a minority of the board makes a decision, or the whole board makes a decision. Like, we don't need, it doesn't have to be this complicated. We can align it. We can do what our peers are doing all around the state. Near us, Germantown does it. I think New Berlin, McGuanago, I think also uses the Neola one. So we have an opportunity here to streamline it, make us in compliant with state standards, and listen to our community. This isn't about politics. This isn't meant to be political. This is a opportunity for us to decrease the risk to the district, streamline the process of both our process in any challenge and of community members to challenge. So we have that opportunity right now to just take the Neola policy and leave the past in the past and move on from a policy perspective. And we right now, the proposal tonight is to say we choose to stay out of compliance and roll the dice. And I can't imagine why we would do that and keep this confusing 3-pronged complaint review that doesn't comply with state standards. So with that, I would motion to table 9130, 9130.01, and 9130.02, take them back to the policy committee, and let's align this under Neola and make ourselves in compliance and decrease risk for future action against this board in this district.
Okay, I guess we have a motion, so we would need a second.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.